Welcome back to another Swans Cast podcast. We're finally back in the new year. So happy new year, everyone. Welcome back, Lee.
Good to be back.
Did you
Seems like
have
it's been ages.
Yeah, obviously, I think we recorded the last one before Christmas, but then just very, very busy time. I actually only put it up last week, so it's a little bit outdated when it went live. But there we are. The stuff's still there. You can still see the rubbish we were chatting. We talked about the World Cup a little bit. Obviously, Wales' performance, a little bit late, but we got there in the end. A little bit about Messi and Ronaldo. Obviously, Messi won the World Cup, and just Swans returned to the league after what was maybe a little bit of a disappointing return. The first couple of games hasn't really picked up that much, although we'll get into it today. Games against Watford and Burnley maybe showed signs of encouragement. We then went up to the cup game at Bristol, so we have a lot to discuss for that one, which, replay now, which not probably what anyone wanted, but there we go. That's what's on the agenda today. So a couple of games, cup trip, and a little bit of transfer talk, but there's not an awful lot going on there considering we're 11 days in. All we've had is a couple of recalls, both for ourselves and from ourselves. So, yeah, that's what we're going to get into today. So, welcome back. Yeah, first podcast of the new year, proper one anyway. I mean, I think technically I released the other one last week, but this is the first one really. So,
Yeah.
as always, don't forget to let us know in the comments what you think. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Spotify, you can click to follow us to make sure you stay up to date with all of our podcasts we put up there. But also you can head over to YouTube if you'd like to see match previews, because we do shorter videos where we just focus on the next match, where I try and catch up with somebody from the opposition team, another podcast from their team. So I recorded yesterday with Graham from Sunderland, who does a podcast similar to us for Sunderland, obviously ahead of the game on the weekend. So hopefully that should be live by the time you're listening to this anyway. So if you are on Spotify, they're only on YouTube. So go check them out if you get 5. They're not as long. So I say they're not as long. This one was actually like 30 minutes long because we just talked for a while, but sometimes that happens. A lot to talk about. Anyway, let's get into the football. Actually, let's have a bit of a catch up first because it's been a while. So, how was your Christmas and New Year? Did you get up to much? Did you do anything exciting?
Yeah, I was manic in a good way. Just here, there, and everywhere. Friends coming back to Swansea, having catch ups. I actually went out on New Year's Eve for the first time, but it was not
Really?
out in the night, like in the day, like a bit of a day session. Went out about 12 o'clock, and then had a curry about 7, and then home by 9 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, of
And I
course you
think that
did
was.
because you played pool as well, didn't you?
I thought that was class. I don't really not really a big fan of New Year's Eve, but it was nice to have a bit of a day session. And that was it then. Christmas,
No, I
family,
think
here,
I
there, and
think the
everywhere.
day session's good, and then you go back home and chill in the house for the evening. In there,
I'm at I'm at that age now where I only like a day session. I can't do like a
night
four
out. Yeah,
o'clock in the morning job. I like
I'm
a
done.
good day session.
I'm done with that too. But unfortunately, I was working all through New Year, so that's how exciting mine was. Yeah, planning moves and moving stuff with no one shopping. So just
Yeah, it's good
fun.
settling back into the routine now. And I like to watch something in the new year. I started watching that The Rig on Amazon Prime. It's really good.
The Rig.
Yeah, I'm absolutely hooked already. I watched 2 episodes and I'm.
What's that all about? Never heard of that one.
That's an oil rig in the North Sea, I think, and it starts to sort of like shut down. Get like bad weather and like there's like an ash cloud and yeah, that's as far as I got so far. But it's pretty good. It's all the
Yeah,
actors from Line of Duty, loads of them on there.
I'm well.
So I'm
The
hooked.
Apprentice just started back, so I started on that.
Are you in?
So I'll be watching at the moment, but it's
Oh,
only on once a week. So
there's another Love Island starting this week, and I'm not watching it
you're
this
one of
time.
them, and you. Oh, you're
Oh
not
no,
watching it.
no, even me, I can't. I normally I do, but I can't watch another one. I've had enough
I
now.
gave up on I'm a Celebrity. I did as well.
Oh, never. I
Yeah,
still love I'm a Celebrity.
I don't know, the Matt Hancock factor just wasn't doing
Yeah,
it for
true.
me.
That was yeah. I forgot
Drew
about
my
that.
head
To
in
be
a little
honest, I
bit.
did watch it.
So.
Can't believe he got as far as he did, but which was annoying. But yeah, I still watch it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the last time we spoke, we'd just drawn 3-3 with Coventry.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. And then, so I believe we haven't spoken actually since we lost to Reading, 2-1 away. The home win then, which was completely contradictory to that game where we beat Watford 4-0. Was not expecting that, and then the loss to Burnley in the league. Obviously, we'll talk about the cup game in a bit. But yeah, they're the 3 league games we've got to kind of touch on. So if we start at Reading, because I think we don't have to go in detail, but there's an interesting shift, I think, that happens between Reading and Watford. And obviously the result afterwards as well is more positive. But we started Reading with a 5 at the back standard. That's what Russell Martin has been doing for most of the season. But for Watford, it was 4 at the back. So maybe we can perhaps discuss the change and how that's affected how we are playing, maybe, or does it look like it's the way to go forward? So, yeah, what do you think about that then?
I think when you get to see the proper benefits of it, I think because I don't know. I think the Reading game was coming because, like you said, commentary. We were 3-0 down with me and come back, and then Reading we were 2-0 down with me and started to come back again. And the Watford game seemed like a bit of an anomaly because even the Burnley game and we'll talk a little bit about the Bristol game later, but the Burnley game as well. Like it was just a theme that we don't seem to start playing until we're down.
Yeah.
Until we're 2-0 down. That just seems when we click into gear, and it's really frustrating. Doesn't seem to change anything. Sometimes you can see us coming, like you can see that you haven't started the game well, and you wait until you go 2-0 down before you actually start going for it, and then they start becoming more attacking. Like in those games though, like in the Coventry game and the Coventry game and the Reading game, I think he went to a back 4 after we were losing, and that's when we came back into the game. So I think that's what's prompted him to start it against Watford. And they were brilliant in that game, albeit I know Watford had tons of injuries, and I thought they were absolutely awful. But I think we were brilliant. I think some of the goals we scored as well were absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
they were brilliant.
I mean, yeah, highlight the fact that Watford got injuries. That's all well and good, but the form before that wasn't terrible. It's not like
no, it's a good win. It's a good win. It's definitely, they were brilliant as well. We played well. You can't argue with that.
They went on to beat Norwich the game after that 1-0.
Yeah.
And they lost to Reading then, but in the FA Cup that was. So maybe I didn't see the team. It could have been a lot of changes there, but yeah, I think it's good to see him doing the changes because I think we've said ourselves many times before he's a little bit stubborn with stuff like that, and we credited some of the changes he made earlier in the season that kind of made a positive impact going forward when he brought in the likes of Bender and Cooper, and kind of that was the biggest shift earlier in the season. I think there's a couple of factors that have happened in the last couple of weeks that have contributed to perhaps poor form, not least the personnel he's had available and some dramas regarding those. I mean, we'll discuss again later. But yeah, with the Reading is another example of a slow start and then coming back into the game. I think the first half was just a bit dull in general. And then we got 2-0 down in the second half. So it wasn't even as isolated as just a bad first half, good second half. It took us like 60 minutes to click into gear. And Liam Cullen scored, didn't he? And he had a kind of carbon copy of the goal that he scored against Coventry, where I think Perot hits the post or something, and then it's a tap in.
Yeah, they were like almost the same goal, weren't they? Yeah.
Which the fact that he's done that 2 games in a row, we're going to talk about Bristol later, but one of our criticisms of that match was the lack of shooting from opportunities from where we were sitting that looked like shooting opportunities, and then they just pass it to someone that's like I don't know why you're passing over there, sort of thing. When in recent games, like the Reading game, when we're in the comeback, we're taking more of those risks where we will shoot from those positions, but we've got a couple of goals out of it.
Yeah.
Player like Cullen who does work hard and does run a lot, and he's at the end of he's there waiting to poach a goal, So why are we not trying to use that a bit more?
It is one of the biggest criticisms because we start games way too cautiously. Even the Burnley game and the Bristol game, I think, is still a problem that we start games way too cautiously. We keep the ball so well. I mean, like Vincent Kompany said about the way we keep the ball, he's praised us. But when you watch it, you think, they're so good on the ball. They're so good at manipulating possession. In all fairness, we can't argue with that. But in terms of like being direct and trying to create chances, we literally don't do that until it's like, we have to do it now. We never attack games. We never go at a game and think, right, we're going to go and win this game. We just sort of start it and think, right, we're just going to keep the ball. and that's what we're going to do. And hopefully an opening comes up. Hopefully there's something creates itself. But there's no real desire to go 1 or 2-0 up. Well, I will come on to the Bristol game. Like going 1-0 up, we definitely should have upped the tempo there and gone for it. And even in the Burnley game, I think we didn't start very well. I think after we were 2-0 down, we were absolutely brilliant after that. But I don't understand why it just keeps happening that we start so slow and cautiously and keeping the ball and no real desire to get forward, and it's just costing us.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think Martin has acknowledged it in some of his recent press conferences, but you kind of like, okay, so how are we gonna rectify it?
This is one of my criticisms of Russell Martin. I think he starts out with a game plan and he just sticks with it no matter what. I sometimes don't think he's that tactically astute within a game to make changes within a game. I know he's limited in what he's got, because when sometimes you look at our bench and you think, oh, he's got to change something, and you think, well, there's nothing really there to bring on that's going to change a game. And you can bring in Cham on sometimes, but then that's hit or miss. Sometimes he comes on and scores a worldie and he's brilliant, or sometimes he comes on and loses the ball 9 times in his first 9 touches. But I think he doesn't really change it within a game. Like tactically, he hasn't got that thing sometimes. I don't know what you think of that, but that is one of my only criticisms of him, because he starts and he's so stubborn. And we're watching games and you're like, the only way this game is going is we're going to concede here. We're going to go 1-0 down. We're going to go 2-0 down. But then he doesn't change it until that happens.
Yeah, you're saying it all through the Bristol game. I do agree with you about his about changing it. Even maybe like not even with substitutions, just something else on the pitch. Like again, we keep referring to Bristol. We will talk about that. I'm just trying to do it in a bit more format. But the strikers went playing through the middle basically, and we'll go in depth on that later. But that was part of the problem why we couldn't get back control when Bristol came into the game. Yeah. And I think you're right to point out the bench, because you obviously were saying about the subs. I will give him the benefit of the doubt at Bristol, because before they equalised and Cham was literally waiting to come on. If the ball goes out of play, he comes on before the goal. You could say it should have been
Cundle,
earlier,
wasn't it?
Well, it was Cundle, but he went up sat back down, and then it was in Cham, but he was standing there as they scored. And then he brought them both on anyway. But even then, one of my big concerns is none of those two were going to come and solve the situation. I don't think it would have changed anything. So even if Cham or Cundle had got on before that goal was scored, they're replacing like Joe Allen, because he's only got like 60 minutes in him, or it was like 65 minutes or something at the time. We're starting Allen, Grimes and Fulton, and we're doing fantastic control in midfield. We did in that game for like the first half and first bit of the second half. But then as soon as they get a bit tired, or Allen, like, his legs go quite easily, but then you notice the difference. So you notice you lose in the game, we're not in as much control. I think it happened against Burnley as well, when some of the subs were changed. We looked like we were giving them a really good go, could score that second goal to come back. It was a good game. That substitution happened, which I know has to happen. He can't do the 90 minutes every game. And I'm not saying it's just Allen. I think the three of them together are working really well in the midfield. And you can't just rely on those three to play 90 minutes twice a week or week in, week out, whatever it is. There's no one there to like come and do the same job if them three are playing and starting. Yeah. Like, I feel like that you're in a situation then, even if Grimes or Fulton, I think Grimes, he plays 90 minutes all the time, doesn't he? But if Fulton's getting tired, you can't take him off now, because I've had to take Allen off. Like, I think he did against Burnley, completely killed the game off. Like,
I think that's what happened in Burnley. I think definitely in the Burnley game, because Joe Allen in particular in that game was brilliant. After we went 2-0 down, that spell, he was absolutely everywhere, wasn't he? But I think we've got to accept.
At the same time, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he took them both. I think like I think, although I say he doesn't try and change it, well, my criticism, he doesn't do it until we're 2-0 down. But obviously we're 2-1 down at that point. I think he just took them off and put more attacking players on to go.
And it's fair to take the risk. My point is, I'm finding it hard to just criticise the subs being earlier, because the bench is a problem, and that maybe links to the players that aren't on the bench.
But before Christmas, when Joe Allen was injured for that spell, we played with just Fulton and Grimes in the middle, and it worked really well. Like we had a really good spell. for a bit there, didn't we, when Alan was injured? But no, I agree, because the Burnley game in particular was really frustrating, because we actually played really well. And talking about Burnley, are probably leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else in the league, but we played so well. And then when he made those changes and Fulton and Alan came off, we didn't do anything. We didn't have any control of the
Right.
game
I
at
think
all. We couldn't get the ball in midfield.
the difference, though, you're saying about the before Christmas period to now, and it was just the two of them to now three, is obviously this is with a four at the back, whereas before it would have been with a five. So you've got that extra guy in the back. So if you're just keeping the ball, one of them steps forward and helps maintain possession or whatever, or you've got the wing backs there. With the four, you just got that. I guess Alan or the three of them being there, like one of them is that extra player, and then you've got the forwards. So yeah, and when you swap them for and Cham or Cundle, they're just not doing. They're not going to do that job. We know they're not going to do that job. The only one I would say could is Ollie Cooper, but then you're starting him in a more forward role. So by that point, you can't say drop back and fresh legs to replace Alan, because it's not fresh legs, is it? It's
maybe he needs to revert back to a back five then when he takes one of them off. Maybe, I don't know, just to.
It's difficult when you've just conceded the goal, then, isn't it? That's the problem. It's
I know, but I mean, you've got more bodies forward then, haven't you? I mean, your wing backs are going to be up, and it's probably only going to be like the three at the back and Grimes that are actually back and push your midfielders forward. I think it was working well then, but I think we just got to accept now. And this was one of my reservations when we signed Joe Allen. I'm not going to criticise him, because he's been unbelievable since he's come back from the World Cup. It's like the Joe Allen of old, but he's a 60-minute player now.
Yeah.
So do you start him, or do you bring him on at the end to control the game? Do you bring him on, 60 minutes?
I think he can start, but I just think like Grimes, Fulton, Allen, one of them on the bench.
Yeah,
just that's because you need to be able to bring one on for that. Yeah. Matt has actually talked about the three of them actually in his press conference ahead of Sunderland. So he's just been kind of given the plaudits of the three of them and the importance of how experienced they are and the experience they bring.
We're so lucky to have those three.
Which is great, and he's right. He's right. It's just when you start a game with three of them, you have to go and like the Bristol game. Yeah, we have to win it while they were there.
Yeah,
because when they come off, we're making the team weaker, and I think Bristol's subs made them stronger, and that was clear to see. Or when not when they come off necessarily, but when they're like 60 minutes into a game, they're not given, they're not controlling it the same way, which you'd expect that, especially in a cup, right? Because it was FA Cup Bristol. So you'd expect the team, you're only 1-0 down, you get into the 70th minute, they're going to come and throw everything at you. But we couldn't match that. We could not offer anything in return.
He's got to manage that, though. I don't think we're necessarily going to win the game with three of them sat in there. I think they're so good at controlling. If we play with two of them and play a more attacking midfielder, like play Cooper and Cundle forward, for example, with Allen and Grimes, just an example, then you go and win the game. You get 2-0 up, and then you bring Fulton on to see out the game, essentially. Or Allen would be the perfect example, because he can't play 90 minutes. You'd start with Fulton and Grimes and bring Allen on then and shore up the midfield, and nobody's getting the ball off us. Because that first sort of 20-30 minutes in Bristol, Bristol weren't touching the ball, were they? With those three in midfield, like nobody's getting the ball off us. But obviously we're just not going forward then. We're brilliant at keeping the ball with those three in midfield, but there's not enough forward, especially where he set up with the two up front. I think that might be the way forward. Like, go and win the game. We have all the ball. Go out and just attack the game, get 2-0 up, and then bring three into the midfield and keep the ball and frustrate teams then. And the more openings will come when you're up, and teams are going to chase the game.
I didn't realise, right, we actually had 5 shots on target against them. I did not realise that.
On Bristol?
Yeah.
No chance.
There was a couple at the end from distance after they'd equalised, and we were saying, why didn't they do this earlier? But 5 shots on target by all accounts. Anyway, right, so you're talking about the midfield, saying, I do agree with you. Start with like an Ollie Cooper, or maybe you're going to start on Cham or Cundle, one of them as the third, ahead of the other two.
Yeah.
But I think it comes back to another problem. And I like the four at the back, and I think it is the way forward. But we haven't got the players to do it. We haven't got the players to do either formation properly. And it's just so apparent right now. When you've got context, right? So Obafemi Don't know what happened in the World Cup, but he don't want to play anymore. Had the drama in the summer, come back into the team, and apparently after the World Cup, even though there was like quite a few games until transfer window, he'd already decided he's gone. So I do not expect him to be in a Swansea shirt ever again, to be honest.
And I have no quarrels with it anymore.
I don't mind forgiving one time if you want to come back and give it your all. But
twice, no, but he did as well. He did come back, and from January last year to the end of last season, he was brilliant, and that's fair enough. Martin handled it well.
After the summer now, I mean after the Burnley stuff, because obviously.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, there we are. So it's 3 then, really.
The first time was application, wasn't it? The second time was transfer, and I was probably a bit of both.
Yeah, but he's been here for a season and a half, and he's had 3.
Yeah. Now I'm just like, get rid of him. I don't even care.
Yeah, I think it's not even.
Season, just can't be asked for that. It's just.
It's not worth it.
Just no, not worth it. Apparently,
I got no quarrels with anymore.
Southampton, quite similar.
It's a shame though. It's a shame because he's been brilliant for us when he has applied himself.
21, 22.
Yeah, and then he's brilliant. He was good for a while this season as well. Like in the middle, he scored against Cardiff in the derby, and around that sort of time, he was playing really well.
And he goes and dances in front of the crowd, and everyone loves it. Like, no, mate, you don't it's fake. And it's fake, but like, at least pretend it's not. Like maybe if you could say Perot's doing, like at least he's getting on with it. Even if he would happily move on to a Premier League team or would have in the summer, at least he's getting on with it. Anyway, so Obafemi, done with him. Whatever, he's not on the bench. He's arguably our only player in the squad with any pace, right? So that's one issue to highlight. Second issue, Patterson. He started after the World Cup, I think, the first match.
Yeah, he did.
He was a bit rubbish. He dropped to the bench for 1 or 2 matches because he was on the bench for Reading. And then he's disappeared. So he's probably thrown his toys out the pram again. And been the same since he done it the first time, to be fair, last January. We all forgive and forget, but he's been crap, literally, since then. Like, what has he done? Like 1 or 2 assists, I think, or 1 goal.
Yeah, no, he's been crap. Yeah, he's been rubbish.
Goal scorer or whatever. Or one-off, and had a really good relationship with Perot, but like, that's gone out the window. So yeah, he's gone and decided he's had enough. And Martin eventually did come out and say both of them attitude is not there. They're not trying hard enough. They're not doing what he expects. So good on him to come and call it out and say it as it is, because I think the fans wanted to know what's going on. And I guess it makes it easier to deal with now that you actively know they're probably going to go. Yeah, and they're looking at this point. Martin's had enough as well. I think it seems he defended Patterson so much last January.
He did,
and he got his new contract. Oh, I wanted to feel wanted, I didn't feel wanted by the club. He got his new contract, and now he's just crying again, sulking somewhere, probably posting Instagram stories in a hot tub somewhere. I don't know.
I'm fed up. I'm fed up of players doing this now. It seems to be happening more and more. But
if you sign them all on a free transfer or like from a club that don't want them, and then Man has been brilliant for us, but he's running his contract down because he wants more money.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I don't know if it's happening in other clubs. Like I can't remember. Well, if it probably has, but my memory escapes me now. But I think I've never seen it so bad where players just keep throwing their toys at the pram, especially players like Patterson, where you bring him in on a free. Martin's brought him in, absolutely got the very best out of him, and then the first chance they get, I want to leave, I've had enough. I wanted to feel wanted, all this crap. It's just doing my head in. It's just doing my head, and then Obafemi,
he just wants I need to maximize my pension before I retire.
And then Obafemi, if his first protocol when anything goes wrong, delete all your Swan stuff off Instagram and all this crap. I'm fed up with them hiding behind all this. Fair play to Russell Martin. I think he handled it all perfectly, last season, because he got the best out of Obafemi after Christmas, and then Patterson, he got the best out of him, and then we got him back in last season. I think he was brilliant at that. But I just love it if he could just be like, they don't want to be here. They just, I think he has now, more or less. He said, but then the players just hide. The players, they've got a shield around them. Where are they to answer for? Why don't they just come out and say, I don't want to be here? And then we'd all be like, right, we'll bugger off then. We don't want you here anymore. And then all that happens is the agent does the talking.
They're not performing, so why can't we rip the contract up and
Yeah, exactly. The agent does all the talking and starts drumming up or rumours or Burnley are interested in all this. They start drumming that up, and then when it falls through the door, then the players can come out and say, "Oh, well, I didn't want to leave anyway. I'm always here." But behind the closed doors, they're like, "Oh, fuck, I'm still here. I don't want to be here." I can't wait to leave and also
Yeah,
start throwing my toys at the pram. I'd love it if Russell Martin just threw them all under the bus. I'm fed up with it because players are just going to keep coming doing it to us. I
yeah,
guess we're that type of club where we always have been a bit of a stepping stone club where players come in and do well and they want to move on, but just it's so disrespectful to the club now. It's just getting on my nerves the way that these players behave. And I don't care what they've done before. Fair, like great with Patterson and Obafemi in the derbies, but the way they behave now, I just think we'll just go, and I don't care anymore. I've done.
yeah. So that's the second issue. Patterson's throwing his toys at the pram, so he's kind of like he wasn't the quickest, but he was a bit, had a bit of skill about him. Could do something if he wanted it. Like when he decided he was going to turn up, even create something from, he could do something in a wide position or in like a more central behind the striker position. So there's two players that would fit the system that are gone, yeah, basically, and no pace. No pace. Flex got recalled, although apparently he was the same with his attitude. Like, so they weren't too fussed about that, and that's probably why I'm started because, again, attitude issues apparently with all these kids these days seems. So then you're left with a bench of players who mix of youth, mix of players that haven't really made the cut, and like in Cham, for example, and Norton not made the cut, but on his way out, you could argue. Darling's there, of course, but that's fine. He's an interchangeable centre back because we dropped one of them in the system. But if we look at the bench against Bristol, yeah, you've got Norton, just mentioned him, and Darling just mentioned him. Ogbeta, we know he's not in the plans. He's available to go. Yeah. Left back, he's available to go. Joel Cotterill, youngster, who I don't think he's played a league appearance yet. Striker, I believe. I think he was only coming on if we were like 3-0 up. To be honest. Cam Congreve, nice to see a bit more of him. He is the one that is perhaps breaking through out of all of them. Can play a wide attacking role, but I'm not sure if he's the quickest.
I don't know if anyone remembers his turn against Burnley when he came on. He absolutely rinsed the fullback. It was probably our only chance in the second half. Well, it was a bit of a half chance. He sort of tried to cut it back, but he absolutely destroyed the fullback.
Yeah, so he's one maybe to get excited about, but he's not necessarily pacey pace. Like he's not slow, but he's not pacey pace, which is what I'm saying we're missing. Cundle, I think the jury's out on Cundle. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think he's had a good couple of games, but then that's it. He had you think he played well against like Cardiff in the derby and a good couple of games around about that time again, but since then, no, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah. Sorinola, I think again, I'm sure Martin made some comments about his not performance, what he expects a couple of games ago. He has come back into the bench, but you're losing out a right back position to a centre back constantly. You've been brought in for that position and you can't start because you're not doing it. That's whatever. And then Cham, and we know about him, Cham, he's just like blows hot and cold more than I don't even know a good reference.
You were setting yourself up there for a real good line then.
Set myself up for a proper failure, but
I thought you were going to absolutely nail it then. There we go.
Mine went blank the worst moment possible. But you get the gist. Like you just don't know what you're going to get. It's like flip a coin, and it feels like the last 3 matches have all been tails.
Oh, that made me off the bench against Bristol. He was awful.
Yeah. So when you're Martin, like, okay, we're losing control of this game here. I just don't know what you can do.
Oh, I agree. I know the bench is awful, but
anyway, I just wanted to highlight some of the issues there. So
that's fair. That's completely fair.
Or the 5. I just think both systems, we can't play a team that suits it because like we started with a 4-2-3-1. Well, it was kind of a 4-2-2-2. Sorry.
Yeah, it was
against Bristol. Yeah, and you had Perot and Cullen up top, Cooper and one of the 3 behind. It was kind of Felton, Grimes, Allen changing, and then the other 2, or Grimes would be on his own, and it'd be 3 behind. Quite flexible, which is nice. It's good that he's trying stuff.
I do like it.
But Perot and Cullen were like peeling wide. Each time we went forward into the corners, up the wing. Not even like from the middle, peeling wide. You could see literally all the time Perot would be like centre circle on the right because he was on the right side. We'd be on the break or pushing forward, and he would like make a run diagonally towards the corner flag.
And him and Cullen was stuck to the touchline. I don't get. Like you were probably right when we were in the ground, and you said, it's a cup game. Maybe he's trying something, but it wasn't working. It was so frustrating to watch because I just looked at the stats now, and the one that I looked at, I said we only had the 2 shots on target, which is the 2 that I remember, which
Yeah,
was
I'm on Sofa Score, so I don't know whether they're like including blocked shots or something. I'm not 100%. I think I've looked at a couple of games in the FA Cup, and the stats aren't collected very well compared to
yeah,
normal in the league. So
the one I looked at
I
said
could be
2, and
wrong.
that's what I remember because it was the Perot goal, which was a gift, and then Fulton had a pop shot in the second half, which was straight down the keeper's throat, and that's the only 2 shots on target that I can remember, and that backs it up for me. But it was so frustrating to watch because as soon as we were on the break, we were pointing out those 2 just instantly went wide, nothing through the middle. They instantly went out to the touchline, and they were ineffective.
But you'd
Like
expect
Perot was out of the
like,
game.
okay, they're doing that, so who's coming in the middle? But quite often you look and there was no one there.
Yeah, that middle centre back for Bristol City, we were looking at him, was just
He was
standing
just
on his own
yeah,
all the time with nobody to mark.
yeah,
And that's where I was losing the plot a bit because I was like, all right, we had a gift of a goal. Like, we did have all the possession, but we weren't battering them. We had a gift of a goal. We 1-0 up. At that point, I think, all right, maybe we just tuck in a little bit and try and get a second goal here and kill this game off. You know, maybe you can keep it for the structure is okay. We're still playing the way we started, but maybe we just tuck in a little bit when we're on the break. Maybe Perot goes into the middle or Cullen and try and get that second goal. And then that continued into the second half. Bristol City made the changes. You could just see it coming. Every time we got the ball, it would go wide to Perot, he'd lose it. Go wide to Cullen, he tried to come back in. There's nothing there. It was just like, and it just the only thing that was going to happen was a
yeah.
Bristol City equaliser, and you were just waiting for it to happen, and then he didn't change it then until they actually equalised, and that's where I was just so annoyed with that game because
Yeah.
I think it was winnable. I think it was on a plate for us, especially after going 1-0 up.
So I think he was trying to get. Obviously, I agree with you. It was frustrating. I think the plan was like they peel off wide when we get in an attacking area. The idea was the one on the opposite side was meant to come in back post, but nothing really was coming in with any quality to make that work.
Yeah.
And again, the 4 versus the 5, right? So like we got the problems with the wing backs in the 5, specifically the right, and maybe the wide areas forward as well. So you got maybe Perot plays up top, same sort of thing. Who plays behind and what they're doing. Similar thing with the 4 now. So maybe you fix the wing back problem with the 4. Although Latabodia still, it's not it's not necessarily what you want there, but he doesn't have to get us forward as much and do as much like of that sort of stuff in the normal orthodox right back role. So you get away with it a bit more. You're now relying on the extra player you've got up the field. But we haven't got anyone to play wide up the field. So you're forcing the strikers to do it. And yeah, it just isn't working. I know you got Ollie Cooper is quite flexible, but he's on his own there a little bit. With he can't be everywhere.
Yeah, I know.
So
I
there's
think
just issues all over the pitch in terms of recruitment. We can't fix all of that in January. I don't
no,
think.
we can't.
And again, centre midfield. If you're going to start Grimes, Fulton, Allen, I know we got Liam Walsh who potentially could come back into the fray, perhaps 2 games until he's gone again. Just a bit weak at the moment.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that's the only thing I lay at Russell Martin is just ability to change it within a game, just to maybe be a bit more reactive before obviously things go wrong. Just try and change it before, like teams are equalising or before teams are going 2-0 up. That's my only criticism. But on the whole, like I can't fault him because I think he's got the system right. I think he's got the 2 systems that he can use, and I think they work. I think they work really well sometimes, but he hasn't got the personnel to put in there.
No.
I think, and what we've achieved up to this point is what he's been able to drag out of like an average squad. I think sometimes, especially now, I looked at it before and I think we actually had a really good squad. In Perot and Obafemi were performing. We had a good enough squad to go, but knowing now like what's going on behind the scenes, I think it just seems to be like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. It's just think we're getting somewhere here. Yeah. Obafemi's young, Perot and him are playing well together. Patterson's coming back. You think, all right, here we go. Then the 2 of them won out. Then Manning's not signing his new contract, and it's just like when you think we're getting somewhere, we lose players, or whatever happens to them, they want to leave or whatever. But then we just can't replace them quick enough with the players that he needs in the right players that he needs for the positions, and we're just filling gaps. It's really frustrating. Because I think we're not far off. I don't think, especially when you look at like those 3 in midfield, are just I think they're top 6
Yeah.
Championship players,
Also,
easy.
I need to clarify that Joel Cotterill is a midfielder, not a striker.
Fair.
Just fun, in case someone calls me out in the comments. My mistake.
Yeah.
But
And you've got Perot, who's definitely a championship striker when he's on his day.
Which begs the question: if you put him on the bench, but then you don't want him to come on to, he could come on for Alan if he does that sort of job. When do you want to try him out? If you don't want to try him out in the cup,
I think, looking at the window though,
he's there because there's no one else, and he's not there because he thinks he's like.
No, exactly, because he hasn't got any other choice.
Yeah.
He hasn't got any other option. There's I think looking at this window though, I am a bit worried because if Manning goes, which is likely if he's not signing a new contract, the right thing to do would be to try and sell him on.
I think he'll run down.
Well, even long term, like if Manning's going, I guess I heard like Latterboard, might go, will he? I don't know. That might be a thing.
No, not necessarily sales of both of them. We signed. I think we might have paid a fee for Latty. I can't remember if we got him free or paid Man City. Oh, by the way, Latty actually scored against Watford, didn't he? That was.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but Grimes is ball on
free. Yeah, outstanding Grimes.
That was ridiculous. That was. Don't forget, he only passes sideways, but that ball there through the middle. Yeah. That was ridiculous. Messy pass that was.
6 assists from Grimes this season.
That was a messy ball. That was. It was like nobody sees that pass, only Grimes, because I couldn't see why he was squaring it, and then all of a sudden, was flying on it.
Yeah, but literally, okay. So while we're on Grimes, just to put it out there, because everyone likes to say backwards, sideways, passes. Matt Grimes has completed 282 line-breaking passes in the Championship this season, which is more than any other player in Europe's top 5 leagues. What else do you need to say? He only passes backwards and sideways, though.
There's a case to be made. He's the best player. He's the best midfielder in the Championship, I think.
I don't know how we haven't been snapped up yet, realistically, but that is ridiculous, and that just highlights the disappointment of our attack this season. And I looked at the actual table, right? We haven't not even that bad on goals scored. Like, we're quite high, which is a shock. But we're literally 0 goal difference. So
you look at it. This is why it's frustrating, because we're so it's frustrating to watch sometimes, but we're really not that far off. If we had like Obafemi and Perot performing like they were at the back end of last season, now we'd be in the top 6.
Yeah. So I'm trying to sort it for goals scored. We're actually 5th. I don't feel like we're 5th because we don't really thump anyone. We thumped Watford.
Yeah, I know we do concede a lot, though, don't we?
Well, no, I know that's what I mean. But you don't remember all the goals because of how many we concede as well and how many draws we have or have had lately. But we're actually 5th on goals scored in the league. That's like 36 goals, yeah? Burnley have scored 52. The only teams ahead of us, Sheffield United with 44, Middlesbrough have scored 41. Sunderland actually scored 38. But we've conceded 36 as well. So if I look at goals against, it's not awful, but we're like, actually, it's quite bad. We're quite high on that. So we're 6th. 6th for goals conceded. So some silly goals.
On that, though, I think like he still doesn't know what to do with the back. Like, he plays different players every week, doesn't he? Sometimes Darlin plays, sometimes Wood plays, Cabango. They seem to alternate all the time. Latterboard, at right back sometimes I don't know. It just seems that there's no consistent. You need a consistent back 5, really, don't you? Including the goalkeeper. I know Bender's had a couple of mistakes recently, but you need that consistency. You need to have. If you're playing a back 4, your 2 centre backs and your goalkeeper should be the same every week. To be a good defence, they should be the first names on the team sheet.
Yeah, probably.
I don't think he quite knows who to play at the moment, because I think like Darlin sometimes he has a good game but he's so rash sometimes. Was it him that did that one against Bristol City where
he went for a run and got tackled and then they were on the break?
Well, no, there was that one, but he got booked, didn't he, then, because we had them camped in. They had nobody forward
or something, and then they went out wide on like the guy was going to go downfield because he was going to go for a throw, and he just like shoulder barged him.
Yeah, there's no need for it at all. And he's got that in
instant yellow card, and now they've got possession of the ball again.
Whereas, the pressure was building a little bit. We had a corner. If they just boot it upfield and they're also there, you recycle it and we're back at them again.
Yeah.
But he just comes across and absolutely nails him like 3 years late.
Yeah. 3 years late. Yeah, exactly. So a bit silly, really. I'm not. I think he's still young and he's darling, but he
Yeah,
has
I
got that
think.
erratic streak in him. Like
Yeah,
he's not the saviour that perhaps people thought he was going to be when he came in.
yeah,
He's been okay. I think he's had a decent season. I wouldn't say he's been outstanding at all.
yeah.
And people who say he should start every game. Don't know if he's the one of all of them that stood out the most for me. I'm not sure.
No.
Wood's been, considering he came without the fee, he's done
If you
just
think, if you
as good
think,
of a job.
I know it feels like I'm being a bit harsh because Wood is young and Cabango is young and Darlin is young as well. So there's plenty of time, but that's
They all
just
got to learn.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a particular thing. I think that's why you can't pick because nobody's putting their hand up. Nobody's really sort of
yeah. And it's tricky football. They got to play out from the back. You've got to
yeah,
still acknowledge that. But and
yeah,
that's why he was trying to keep Norton there, isn't it? But obviously Norton is getting on. I think that started to show. But back to what we didn't finish talking about Manning and Latty. I think like we didn't pay for Manning, did we? We got him from QPR on a free. Same as Bidwell.
yep,
Same thing happened. He went on free in the end, didn't he, Bidwell? So
yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get sold. And it's just hopefully we can give him a contract, and otherwise he's gone in the summer. He's had such a good season now that how much are you going to get for him realistically in January? I think he demands that much of a fee. So I think Martin's going to be like, well, who are you going to get me instead? That's a massive risk. Who's going to, if he goes now, who plays?
Yeah, we're absolutely screwed.
So I think
Yeah.
Martin would be like, I'll just take the hit in the summer. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't see Manning going now unless it's like a no-brainer fee. Like, but I just don't think any team's offering now, and they know they can snap him up for free.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not like Grimes where he's your star player. People would fight the fee for him now if he was when he was in the last year's contract because you could risk, okay, I can get him for free in the summer, but if someone gives £1 million now, then they can have him now. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think Manning would demand that. I think people will just
I
wait.
know, but you think how good Manning has been for us, and if you take him out of that team,
Yeah, but he
we
didn't
are
get in
really
the team
lost.
under Steve Cooper, really. Different type of manager. And
Yeah, but this team now, he's integral to it.
no, he is. For us, I know for us, I just don't think other teams will be desperate to pay a fee for someone like him when they
Nah,
can
maybe
just
not.
get him for free. They could already be talking, like, do you know what I mean? Right,
Yeah,
the summer, years your contract.
yeah.
So that's what I think anyway. And there hasn't really been any rumours about him going to a club from what I've seen. Same as Latabodia, which I'm a little bit shocked that he won't sign because I feel like he's been here longer and only really now has been getting in the team.
I feel like he's having a good deal as well because I don't think he should necessarily be playing as much games as he does in this position that he's been playing.
Yeah, so is he asking for more? And I can understand why we don't give it to him because if you do, the aim has got to be to get first choice right backs in. So then where does that leave Latabodia? So if you're going to give him this better deal, more money, and then he's going to end up not being in the team next season or whatever as much, that's not probably the best use of resources.
No.
So I can get why we're not giving him what he wants. And Manning, you might say, give him what he wants because he's worth so much to the team. But then what if you do, then who else is going to run out next year? And he's like, hang on, you give Manning this last year, so I want a bit of that.
Yeah.
And we haven't got the luxury of doing that, I don't think.
Oh, no, we haven't. No. It depends what he's asking for. I think if he's way over above, like you said, if he's asking way over what we can afford, then he's got to go. So, but it's a shame if it is affordable. Then I think Manning is one to keep if they can do it.
Yeah, I think it's one of them, and like if they got a wage structure, maybe you credit the fact they're being rigid on it, but no one knows the details. I think you can't really make a decision on your view on that unless you knew all the facts on the table. I think it's quite clear cut that Grimes is the top. So what's underneath? Who's where? I would like to know, like accurate details, but we're probably not going to get that information accurately. So that's where we are. I think focus for where we do need to invest and improve. Got to be attacking talent. I want to see some pace. We need some pace.
Oh, we're desperate for pace. Yeah, I don't know. I think like
and pace up top.
I've
we've got players in the middle that can create. So
yeah, we do desperately need pace. But what was frustrating in Bristol, we said like Cullen and Peru were wide for some reason, like literally hugging the touchline. But I think like they played quite well together, like as a two when they're sort of more central.
Yeah.
And I think Cullen makes those runs that Perot doesn't when he gets in behind. And I've noticed like Grimes and Ollie Cooper in particular in the last couple of games have been picking him out, um, trying to make those runs in behind, and it takes a bit of attention off Perot as well. So I don't know. I think like that could work. We are desperate for some pace to come in though, as well as a
Yeah.
as another option. But I think like that could work if he can get it right. If he can get it right, then I think that could be a good option. I like what Cullen brings at the moment.
No, I agree. I do as well. I just think I'd rather. I don't know. I do think we're a bit slow sometimes, and there's no
Oh
one
yeah,
there
yeah.
to really
Oh
like
definitely.
run at a player.
Yeah,
Running at a
definitely.
player with speed is a lot different to like running at a player and just trying to be a bit tricky, So yeah, it works sometimes. Like a Pablo Hernandez, for example. Like, but a Dan James is more scary. Let's be honest. I'm not
Yeah.
saying we need to get that level of just being just running,
Yeah.
but we haven't got anyone that's got anything like
No,
that
we haven't got
speed wise.
anything as an alternative. I guess that's not the way he wants to play. But I
Sometimes
think,
it's needed. I think,
yeah,
like
yeah, that's what I mean. Definitely need
just
it.
to get the defense to turn and then the others can have the space. Then, like we played tiki taka passing like all through the Premier League, and we relied on like a Nathan Dyer, Wayne Routledge out wide to do that sort of thing. Montero,
Yeah.
a lot of our best chances come from
We are
that.
we're desperately missing it because like we keep the ball, like we said, we keep the ball so well, and then when you sort of get into the final third and they've got 10 men in the box, or you just need somebody who can just create that yard of space with a bit of pace and
Yeah,
get a shot away or get a cross on, or even not when they're camped in the box, even just a little bit further back where somebody can just go in behind and get us further down the pitch. But yeah, it doesn't seem to work like that. But maybe that's just because he hasn't got the players. Oh, who knows? But we do need it.
yeah, definitely. And Garrick's just been sold permanently, so I mean, yeah, I don't know why he didn't try and do something with Garrick, but he has also recalled Morgan Whittaker.
Oh, Messi. According
Yeah,
to some people, he's the saviour.
Balloon d'Or this year, I heard.
Yeah, I know.
No, in all seriousness, he's recalled Whittaker, and he has had a good season so far at Plymouth.
He has, to be fair. He has done well.
He didn't seem too happy about coming back, so I'm sure there'd be interesting conversations there. I do believe he was cup tied for Bristol, which is why he didn't appear in the squad at all, because I would imagine he would have got on the bench because you had Ogbetter and Cotterill there. I think he would have got on the bench, probably, in a normal match. So maybe we'll see him against Sunderland now on the bench. And Martin, by all accounts, has said he's brought him back because he's showed good form, thinks he can offer something to the first team. So he's brought him back to give him every opportunity to fight to force his way into the first team. However, he has told Martin that where he wants to play, behind the striker, kind of number 10, which is why he was enjoying playing for Plymouth, even if it's in a 2 or something like that. That's where he wants to play. And Martin said, obviously, that's quite a highly competitive position. However, Patterson looks like he's not going to be in that conversation anymore. So you could argue there is a gap there. He's just probably bottom of the pecking order now to go and like make a change that. It's on him to change that. So we'll see if he's on the bench in the next game. But Martin also did say, if offers are on the table, they will be looked at. But I think that's probably the case for most of our players, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he has done. I don't really know why we recalled him. Maybe it was because Patterson was going, but he was doing really well at Plymouth.
Obafemi, Okaflex, Patterson as 3 attackers gone.
Yeah.
To me, it says they're not that confident about bringing much in.
Well, I thought I just, I it's a shame because he was playing so well. So maybe he could have, come into the fray in the summer and pushed again for a first team place. But
all those players were there in the summer though, and we didn't know they were going to start kicking off and throwing their toys out.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
You got to make that decision. Someone's come in, and he has benefited from it, so it's been a decent decision. You could argue, like, Cullen got injured, didn't he? He stayed in and he got injured.
Yeah.
So they both went last year. I guess Martin decided he wanted to keep Cullen around and Whittaker to go. Cullen, he's doing well for us at the moment. And maybe Whittaker can come back and put his name in. Obviously, Kyle Joseph went on loan as well, didn't he? So he's another forward that's gone. Now those 3 are out of the equation. We are a little bit light. And we're not going to get 3 attackers in. Let's be honest. I
No.
think I think there might have been stuff in his contract they had to recall him by a certain time in January, maybe. So they've recalled him, they've activated that. And if you're the guy that say you're playing Football Manager now, or if you're the guy in charge making them decisions, you can recall him, see what happens in the end of January, and if you have managed to get the other players that you want in, I'm sure he can go on loan again. Yeah, the player might not be happy about it, but I don't know, perhaps you're already off, oh well, he's not going to be in the long term plans, but we might need him. If we end up needing him, he comes in and does an Ollie Cooper and becomes undroppable, then everything changes. But I think from the club perspective, it's right, we just need that body at the moment, and we'll see what happens. Maybe we can let him go again, or he can move on permanently if he's not happy or whatever. But maybe we can't because we're short, and he's tied. At the end of the day, he's our player. So
yeah, it makes sense. I hope I would like to see him, come in and play well. But let's just see. I know, last time when he used to come on, everyone used to think he was an unbelievable player
against
Plymouth.
Yeah.
Against Plymouth. Yeah, everyone seemed to think he was, this absolutely unbelievable player. But I'm yet to see it. He has done well for Plymouth in League One. So, well, let's just see if he can come in and reproduce that form now in the Championship. Maybe he's built up a bit more confidence. Then we've got a good player on our hands. But yeah, I think you're right. At the moment, he's a body in there. So let's just see what happens.
Yeah. So it makes the bench look a little bit. There's someone raw and exciting to come on if we need to change the game now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we need someone different to come on. Yeah.
Because and Congreve's there, and so if we haven't fixed the problem, I feel like we need to see some more Congreve a bit earlier in matches, because if you're going to be relying on him into the season, Ollie Cooper gets injured, all of us, or Ncham, can you rely on Ncham? So he needs more minutes, doesn't he? Like Congreve and stuff. So Whittaker there as well as another option. Otherwise, though, Finley Stevens has been recalled, so we're short right back all of a sudden again, even though, you got Latti and Sorinola, I guess. And then just man in the other side, and kind of Sorinola covers both, doesn't he? So again, he's still on the breadline. He's still one injury away from being very short.
Yeah.
I guess you've got Norton right back too, but...
Yeah, Norton can play left as well, I guess.
Yeah, so
if we're desperate.
Yeah. So wing back, hopefully, and some attackers with a bit of speed. Now, there is a couple of players. There's not much rumoured, really. There's one specific name that is mentioned the most. You might have to correct me on the pronunciation, from Leeds. Joe Gelhardt?
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Gelhardt. Actually, he's been playing for Leeds in the Premier League, and I don't think he's starting for him all the time or whatever, but he's a youngster, so he's 20 years old, I believe, forward, and he's made quite a few appearances for him in the Premier League. So let me just double check. 29 in total, 20 last season, 9 this season, 2 goals last season. I know people can say, why are we getting a young forward in with only 2 goals? Let's put the context on it. He's playing in the Premier League for Leeds, who struggled last year. He's probably coming off the bench every time he plays. Some of them appearances are probably not long. And he's 20, so he's developing, and so that's the reason they're looking to loan him potentially, and struggling to make a decision on where he needs to go or whether they will let him go.
Yeah.
So we're linked with him heavily. He could be really good. If Leeds think he's good enough to come off the bench for a season and a half, when they've had players like Rodrigo there, Dan James, who ended up going because he wasn't playing, he could play striker, and this guy's coming off the bench, Bamford and all that. So yeah, I think could be decent. I don't know a lot about him and how he plays.
I think it's we're trying to avoid the loan market, really, and with the way that we kind of need to build. But I think like we were saying about Whittaker just having bodies, with Obafemi going, I think we just need cover in there. And I think if we can get a good striker like that can score some goals and get us further up the table this season, and who knows, some loans maybe turn into well, they're quite rare now that they turn into permanent deals now, don't they? But yeah, I think if we can get a good striker in there, just to have another body, and if he can chip in with some goals and keep Perot on his toes as well, then it'd be a good. But I think like other teams are linked as well, like Wigan and Sunderland as well. So let's see if we can get that over
Sunderland,
the
I
line.
think, look like one of the main ones.
This is
Wigan
why
are
it's
there too.
frustrating. No, I was just saying this is why it's frustrating because we don't really want to dip into the loan market. I think Russell Martin has said, isn't he, that he doesn't want to. He said in the summer that he didn't want to rely on the loan market. But I think
No, but I think we've got to be
the way
flexible
it's
at this
turned
point. We're
out,
kind of struggling.
yeah, we are struggling, and I think we have to get bodies in because I think we're going to be struggling for the back end of the season the way
I
that we
think
are at the moment.
the long-term transfer stuff usually happens in the summer, doesn't it? Like
Yeah,
you're trying to fix the
yeah,
problems in January, and you don't want to overspend to do that. So
yeah. It's a patch job
yeah,
in
so
January.
I get why they look at loan market a little bit more,
Yeah, I get it.
especially when two of them been recalled, the ones that we had on loan.
Yeah,
So it's not like we're adding extra. We're -2 in terms of what we had with
yeah.
loans. Yeah, so there's him anyway. There's been a little bit of talk of revisiting Hans Wolf, but not sure how much is going to come of that. I think Motion Gladbad are not necessarily looking at him leaving, but I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. If we're going forward, it means he probably plays with Manning on the left.
Yeah,
That
I'd
would
take
be
it.
interesting. I would take that. Did
Yeah,
really
I'd
well
take
for
that.
us last year, so maybe I don't know. Sometimes things happen at the end of January where minds get changed because nothing better comes on the table. So it's just the names out there. Maybe not. I can't really see too much. There's a youngster from Brighton, Mark Leonard. Don't know. Do Brighton trust us with their loan players anymore?
God knows.
I mean, the last one didn't work out too well, did it?
Well, does anyone trust us with their loan players anymore? Because they seem to.
We had a really good record under Steve Cooper. Now they're
Yeah, I
getting
know. I mean,
recalled all the
like,
time because they don't play.
yeah, it's still like Led got recalled. I mean, that was annoying. I think. Oh well, breaking news. Jamal Lowe has gone to QPR.
Oh,
Just
that's
didn't think
happened. That
anything.
was it. 'Cause I was going to say his
That's
name's been
happened.
floated, but couldn't see that happening. But yeah, QPR is it?
That's happened. Yeah, yeah. What about I keep and again the same person that keeps coming up every transfer window is this Ogbene, isn't it? From Rotherham. He comes up in every
Yeah,
transfer
but they're
window.
not going to
Apparently,
pay for
William.
him, are they?
No, they're not. No, but he comes up every transfer window,
Yeah.
and yeah, still nothing happened. But I will see.
Brandon Cooper's also gone out on loan and needs Forest Green. I think it was.
That's a strange one. Is he?
Remember when Martin come in and he was starting, and now he can't even get on a look in. I
No,
know.
I
I
know. I'm
know he
surprised he
signed some
didn't go on
centre
loan,
backs,
and
but
surprised he didn't go on loan in the summer. But yeah, I
I
think
thought he really trusted him at the start when he came in. I just want to know what happened.
yeah, it's him. I think he had some good games as well when Martin first came in, and he was asked to do like Martin's style of play and everything. I think he played quite well, but then yeah, he was gone. Then that was it. I think
Yeah,
he was
weird.
like dropped one game, wasn't he, when we made new signings, and that was it.
Yeah, I think it's a bit harsh, and I think he could have been all right, but there we go. Okay, so yeah, not much more else to talk about in the news, really, unless you've got something that I haven't
No,
really
nothing at the
said about.
moment.
We've got Sunderland next. How are you feeling ahead of that?
Yeah, not bad. I'm going up, so I'm going up on Friday morning, staying up for the
Feeling
weekend.
confident?
Uh, I don't know really. It's like every game at the moment. It's just if you play anybody in that middle pack where everybody beats anybody, it just who knows. We could lose 3-0. We could win 4-0. Just who knows what's going on.
Sunderland are actually 8th in the league now.
But we have to win because I need bragging rights because we're going up to visit friends up there. So we must win.
The form in the mid-table is horrendous for like so many teams.
Yeah, it's bad. It's like
It's,
Middlesbrough were like low down and now they're like fourth.
there's one or two that have made a charge. West Brom and
Yeah,
Sunderland probably, and
yeah. Sunderland will be good.
Luton and Millwall have picked up a little bit, and Middlesbrough. Everyone else is like flip a coin form.
Yeah,
So like
exactly.
so
But
many teams with one win or two wins, bunch of draws and then losses. Like just there's few teams getting all these wins, a load of teams drawing, and then obviously the people losing against these few teams. That's what it seems like anyway. Not a good field for betting. That's for sure.
oh, just you can't touch the championship anyway, can you? With the betting, but I don't know. You win like 3 games in a row and you're in the playoffs,
Well, yeah, we're still only
and then
4 points
you lose three
away.
games.
It's all it's going to take. Anyone can still grab it. Like it's plenty of time for Russell Martin to get it right and have a charge back there. But I just think any team that ends up in the playoffs and goes up through that way is it's a poor quality this season. Burnley are just another level. Like,
I think so. I
running
think
away
Burnley
with
and
it at this
Sheffield
point.
United are like ready to go up, and I think they've still got enough quality. Burnley in particular, but yeah, I think whoever goes up in the playoffs from the Championship this year is going to really, really struggle.
Burnley are 14 points clear of automatic promotion.
Yeah.
And the gap between 6th place and relegation is 13 points.
That's stupid, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's really bad. That's really bad.
Speaking of the teams that come up, like Blackpool, it's not Blackpool. What am I saying Blackpool for? Rotherham, wasn't it? Rotherham, Wigan.
Yeah.
Was it Rotherham
Blackpool
this year?
Blackpool came up this year, didn't they?
Oh, it was Blackpool. I thought they were your last.
Or was it last year? Oh, I can't remember now.
I think it was Rotherham.
Rotherham came up, yeah. Rotherham did come up.
It was Rotherham, Wigan, and Sunderland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sunderland are 8th place, so they're doing really well, actually. But I would say, like, out of the three, like, they are a big team, and they coming back up. I would expect them to kind of fit in okay. They got some. Obviously, we got them next, so it's good to focus on them. But their players, like, they got some good players there. I'm a bit worried about that Diallo.
He's brilliant, he is.
Might do a nice job on us on the weekend. And,
he is brilliant.
Patrick Roberts is finally kind of showing what he can do after being a bit of a loan merchant.
He's brilliant at Diallo is.
Plus, last time we played them, we only just beat them 2-1, and they didn't have any strikers available. But now they have. They got strikers who are scoring as well. So, going to be a tough game. I think it's not an easy game by any means. That Graham was asking me yesterday when we were doing the recording, like, what's Swansea fans' perception on, like, going to Sunderland? Are you expecting a win? And I think a lot of people probably are by default from the fact that they just got promoted. But I think that's such a naive approach.
Nah, they're a big side, Sunderland.
It's not an easy game at all. There's a reason why they're higher than us in the league as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where they came from last year. But the other two are struggling. Wigan look doomed, not going to lie. I mean, it can change easy. They only one win off. They only one win away from not getting relegated. But their form's dismal. And change of manager and all that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rotherham, same. They got exactly the same form, actually. They're not looking too clever. Don't know who else is down there, looking over their shoulder.
Cardiff.
Two teams, actually, of interest, Bristol and Cardiff.
Yeah.
Imagine they both could
we'll have a derby
fights in the park next year.
Oh, on that note, I don't know why Bristol City hasn't become a bubble trip yet. I'll never know.
The sound of that policeman smacking that guy with the bat on or whatever it is, the truncheon.
Yeah.
I've never used anything like that, to be fair. It was quite a crack. Fair play. But that was absolutely carnage. And he was absolutely lamping it down after the match as well to end what was a lovely second half of football.
I know. Come on, lads. It's too cold to be fighting, isn't it? Middle of January, like, just go home and have a cup of tea. It's too cold for that.
The amount of detours we had to take to get back to where we needed to go for where we parked was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Jumping over fences, like, can't go this way, can't go that way, carnage over here, sirens over there. I just, like, what is going on? It's 2023, for God's sake.
Yeah, I know. I can't be asked with it anymore. Thing is, I like going to Bristol because we always take a good crowd. And I went up in the league for the league game as well. It's just like, I just can't be bothered for all this fuss.
I'm all for banter, but leave it in the ground, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just I think we're going backwards, aren't we, on that front? I think.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, so Cardiff and Bristol are kind of like.
I think Cardiff's transfer embargo has been lifted. I think.
Yeah, today
because they paid that first instalment for the.
Yeah, when they paid the first instalment, can they actually pay for any players now?
Well, I don't think so. They'd be relying on loans and frees probably. But I tell you what, if they didn't have that embargo lifted and they couldn't bring players in, I think they were really, really looking at relegation. I think they were struggling. But
they've been making themselves hard to beat. But I don't know if you can stay up drawing the rest of your life.
I think they are hard to break down, aren't they? They are teams. Well,
that's what I'm saying. They have made themselves hard to beat, but their form is 4 draws and a loss.
Yeah.
Like, what's that? 4 points every 5 games. Is that going to keep them up? They're only 2 points off. They're 2 points off. Like, what perhaps helps them is Blackpool below them got the same form, and then, like I said, Rotherham and Wigan have lost 4 of their last 5.
I think they'll be all right because I think like Rotherham, Wigan, and Blackpool are worse than them for
Huddersfield
that
down there as
reason.
well.
Yeah, I think there's 3 teams that are worse than them. And that'll favour
Bristol,
them.
their form's not too clever. 1 win, 2 draws, 2 losses, and they're 3 points off.
Slippery slope though. I mean, if we lose 3 games in a row, we'd be looking over your shoulder.
Well, we're 9 points off, so I would take all of them teams to win 3 games in a row.
No, I know, but I mean, it's so tight. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
championship is so tight; it can happen to anyone, can't it?
Technically, we can still go down. I'm not too worried at the moment.
Oh no, oh God, no! I'm not saying
Yeah.
that. I'm not saying that. I just mean like you're seeing like Cardiff and Bristol City established championship teams that are down there. I just think it could happen to anybody.
Well,
If you get a run of bad form.
Stoke are only 4 points away, mind. They're
Yeah,
above
see, it just
Bristol. Like
that's how slippery the
and they went
championship
and
is.
got Sunderland's manager, and they're now up in 8th place. So
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
Stoke are just not having a good time, are they?
That's the
Anyway,
championship.
we're kind of, I think, probably finished that. It's just been over an hour. I know you've got to go and do your weekly food shop.
My
Enjoy
favourite.
that.
I hate shopping.
So we'll get this up. Hopefully we have a good game to talk about next week. The Sunderland game, and maybe a little bit more transfer news. But
yeah,
got to wait and see at the moment. A bit of patience, I think. It's a bit tough, but we'll have to stick with it. So yeah, cheers for everyone for joining. Thanks on Spotify and YouTube. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Really helps the channel out to grow. Obviously, the bigger we grow, the more names we can get on. We've had a couple on recently. We've had Jack Jones from the band Trampoline. We had Jason Price earlier in the season, old Swans player, of course, JJ. Paul Carabank, table tennis Paralympic champion from Swansea, has been on this season. So a couple of names have been on. We're looking, obviously, to get more going forward as well. See what happens. Just watch this space. But you can check it all out on YouTube, and all the podcasts are also on Spotify. But leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Comment down below what you think of the transfer window so far. Perhaps what we need, what we need to say rescue our season. But it's kind of a bit dull at the moment where we are, isn't it? There's kind of nothing happening. So
yeah,
turn the excitement back on. Where do we need to go forward? Like, is Martin getting it right, or what does he need to do to like progress his vision? Let us know in the comments. And yeah, me and Lee shall catch you in the next videos. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.
See you soon.